as good black people who work hard every day and you want to see the black community grow, unfortunately, you are also victims of fraud from people in the black community who want to use your love for our community for financial or personal gain. That's what fraud is. And there's certain individuals guilty of that. One of them is Jay Morrison. He has the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. He used the fact that you love the black community and you gave your money to it, and some of us did give our money to it. And guess what? That fund is almost zero because real estate went up 45% in the last 5 years, and the Jay Morrison's Tulsa Real Estate Fund decreased by 90% in that same allotted time. So he's fraudulent. But there's another person out there who's even warning you about more fraud in black America, and that's Boyce Watkins. That's very interesting because Boyce Watkins is our subject for today's video. But he wants to warn you about certain things happening with bank fraud. Let's play that clip.
Apparently, there is a massive rise in the number of frauds, fraudulent scandals, if you want to call it, or basically people doing phishing schemes to get money out of people's bank accounts. I think that the rise since 2019 is about 20-fold, literally 20-fold rise in the attempts to defraud individuals by getting into their accounts. Various forms of hacking, particularly hacking you. Not just hacking the computer, but hacking you directly. I don't know. Give me a yes if anybody else has gone through this. Has anybody else gotten like these text messages that are from nobody, like out of nowhere, and this person doesn't know you. They literally randomly got your number, or they took it off a database and they're like texting you, or it's like some lady. For me, I'll get some message from a lady saying, "Hey John, I can't wait to see you tonight," or something like that. And then one time I kind of messed around and text back and I said, "I'm sorry, this isn't John." And she was like, "Oh, well, who is this?" And I was like, "Oh, my name is Joe." And I'm like, "So what, who are you?" And she said, "Oh, my name's Tiffany. I'm looking for a friend that can show me around." This like the dumbest stuff. So anyway, these scams are growing like astronomically, and they're getting more and more sophisticated, and they're going to get crazier as AI becomes better. They said literally that AI will become so advanced in the next couple of years that you might get a voice message from your boss, like voice-based message. Your boss might FaceTime you and tell you what to do, like through FaceTime, like the same way I'm looking at you and talking to you now. I guess in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you won't even know if it's me. You'll think you might think it's me, but it could be somebody else. I hope it doesn't get that bad because I don't even know how to counter that. I've already got literally hundreds of scam accounts that pop up on TikTok and Instagram and everything else that's reaching out to people in their inboxes and asking them to give to some crypto site that I don't even know about, And so just in case you're wondering, like if you ever get a message directly, if I'm ever DMing you, just know that ain't me. I'm not creeping up in nobody's DMs. If I DM you, it's because we talked about it and I've been invited. It's not because I'm trying to somehow openly solicit connections with people so I can get them to invest in crypto.
Now, this is very interesting coming from Boyce Watkins, because he's right. This bank fraud tends to happen. But see, Boyce Watkins only believes there's one kind of fraud. That's the one that white institutions run. Even though he's banking most likely with a white institution, that's all he's concerned about. But Boyce Watkins doesn't care if you are defrauded by an individual like Jay Morrison, who most people in the black community spent their money that did invest in that were almost all black, and they lost their money to a tune of over $13 million. And if you don't believe me, here's proof of it from Brother Julian Gordon.
I wanted to give the fund a chance despite its rocky start. As a fellow real estate developer, I know that real estate funds need 3 to 5 years to bear fruit in terms of dividends, monthly cash flow, and appreciation. The Tulsa Real Estate Fund started in June of 2018, so we have reached the 5-year mark. My capital is patient. However, the Form 1K filed recently on June 21st, 2023, for the period ending December 31st, 2021, was alarming. It showed that Treff Titanic is likely on the verge of sinking into bankruptcy unless it gets bailed out by debt or additional investment, with the fund only having $772,372 in cash left of the original $11.5 million invested. That filing was over 18 months ago, so it may already be too late for Treff investors to recoup anything. I've already written off my $40,000 investment to zero. Based on my research, it appears that the only person who has truly benefited from TREF is Jay Morrison himself.
And my instinct said, okay, he's really thought this through. He's really laid this out. This is going to be nice. This infrastructure is solid. And I immediately gained faith in what Jay was doing. I said, okay, you know what? I'll back you. Let me know what I can do. Let me know how I can help. I was one of the initial investors. I stepped right up and wrote my check and sent it in. And I said, I'm in this. And we talked about it. I supported. People asked me about it. And I always, whenever they ask me about it, I always tell them the same thing. Why not? Why wouldn't you want to participate? I believe in the fund. I believe in Mr. and Mrs. Morrison. This is just the beginning. I am happy to invest my money. I will invest more money. I can't wait to see all the great things.
But see, Boyce Watkins only has a problem with white fraud because when black people lose their money, he makes excuses like this.
From what I understand, there was a full SEC investigation into the Morrison Fund. Now, by the way, the fund, if it struggles financially, you do know that y'all do understand that when a black man, especially one with a criminal record, has to defend himself with the feds, it's going to cost millions, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to do that. Y'all do understand that just the mere scrutiny, just the mere racial profiling of a black-owned business can destroy the business. Do y'all get that? Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. So I'm not sitting here saying that the Tulsa Fund was perfect. I'm not sitting here saying Jay Morrison's perfect. I don't know. I just know him as a friend. I know that I invested in the Tulsa Fund. I'm happy with my investment because I love the crown jewel. The crown jewel of the investment was the Black House down in Atlanta. It's a beautiful building. Most people that have negative things to say about, say, Jay Morrison have never built a building for black people. They've never raised millions of dollars for black people. They've never done anything significant other than talk on their YouTube channel or try to get people to donate to their GoFundMe account. And if you wanted to just sort of be petty about it, you could say, well, you're asking people to give you money in exchange for nothing. What are they getting? They're getting your content. Well, that's anybody can talk on YouTube, right? So when if I want to call someone a scam for having an investment that doesn't make as much money as we thought, maybe my investment goes from $1,000 to $800, then that would mean that if I am asking you to give to my GoFundMe, that means if you give me $1,000, I'm giving you nothing back. That's a negative 100% ROI. That's the worst investment imaginable because that's charity. And typically what's interesting is that the people who don't want to support are the ones who do the most talking. The ones who didn't put a nickel into it are the ones who are the professional trolls. I call them the Negro naysayers. The Negro naysayers are people who find a problem for every solution. The Negro naysayers are the people who find any black person trying to do something positive and they nitpick. You ain't right. You ain't doing that right. I don't like that. You a scammer. You doing that. You doing that. Black people can't build nothing. Black people. But yet that same person, that same Negro naysayer, they won't typically go after white people. Maybe they'll go after white Republicans because the Democratic Party gives them permission to do that. Maybe they'll go after, a couple of white people just to try to make a point. But the majority of their attacks, give me a yes if you know people like this, the majority of their attacks are on other black people who are close to them. They're kind of like gangbangers. They're like intellectual gangbangers. I'm going to roll up on anybody in my community that I think is even trying to do something. Excuse me. And I'm going to pick apart every little thing that they do. And I'm going to pick it apart so bad that I'm going to destroy every single thing that's happening in that space.
You see, it's okay for black people to take your money, but we must call out white people taking your money. And see, that's the issue with Dr. Boyce Watkins. He is also guilty of participating in the fraudulent behavior. Why is he? Because Dr. Boyce Watkins recommended the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. And the Tulsa Real Estate Fund is a scam. But when you want to get your money back or you complain about it, he makes excuses for it because you won't go after these white businesses. You won't go after these white institutions. But at the same time, brothers and sisters, here is Boyce Watkins, who is pretty much helping other black people take your money while calling out fraud from whites. But if you really love black people, Dr. Boyce, you would call out all fraudulent behavior because it doesn't matter if a white person takes the money or a black person takes the money. Black people are still being defrauded. That's money they could have invested in something else more sound. It's something they could have invested in their children or in their home. But when we steal from each other and give the culture that it's okay to steal from each other, we give the excuses that we need to steal from each other and not hold each other accountable. But we need to go and hold the whites accountable. That's silly, okay? If your people can't do the right thing, why are we asking the whites to do the right thing? Now, we can make certain cultural exceptions for our group, and I don't have any problem with that. But the issue that I'm always going to have with Dr. Boyce Watkins and many other people is lying to black people about something, but holding whites accountable for the same thing or worse that blacks are doing. Most blacks might never feel even comfortable investing with whites. See, the thing about it is that somebody like Jay Morrison will get a person to invest in a fund for blacks that they would never invest in with the fund for whites. They just feel more confident in doing it with him and comfortable doing it with him. But Dr. Boyce Watkins obviously doesn't care. If you get caught up in that situation, Dr. Boyce Watkins will ignore you because you won't go and tell the white man. But I'm here to tell you right away, never spend your money with these individuals. Boyce Watkins, Jay Morrison, anybody closely associated with these people, you should know you're not going to get any accountability. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it now, right? These YouTube financial consultants and course sellers, for the most part, I don't really trust them. That's why I don't have a course myself. I'm not saying all, but for the most part. If you want to get your money back, go to your financial institutions. And unfortunately, those might be white. They might be the Vanguards. They might be the Fidelities. They may even be Brigham in Kenya and Uganda, which is in Africa. And I have very, very good success with those models. But at the same time, these shady gurus out here today, never give them your money. You work